So I had to share this with everybody. Jordan Uhl. I'm sorry, Jordan. I literally do not know how to pronounce your name. I never learned it, even though, I've known Jordan. I've followed him for a long time on Twitter. He's followed me for a long time on Twitter. I've done his podcast with Rob Rousseau. Still don't know how to pronounce that last name, but I'm going with Jordan Uhl. I hope I got it. Anyway, he pointed this out on Twitter. This shows you the kind of guy that Joe Biden is. Now, I don't know if this is a new addition to his website or if it's been up there the entire time, but in the policy section of his website, I guess credit that he even has one. Here's what he says. Biden wants to urge Arab states to move beyond quiet talks and take bolder steps toward normalization with Israel. Firmly reject the BDS movement, which singles out Israel, home to millions of Jews, and too often veers into anti-Semitism while letting Palestinians off the hook for their choices. Yeah, Joe, that's the problem. This country and Washington, they're just too kind to the Palestinians. That's what it is. The people who have been under brutal oppression for decades and denied statehood for decades, somehow they're the ones who are getting off easy. This is all we're reading this at the same time we're being told that Joe Biden is reaching out to the left. Why? Because he's got task forces that he's going to proceed to completely ignore if they come up with any good idea at all? Is that reaching out to the left? That's what that is? What a joke! What a joke! But he's literally pulling the BDS is anti-Semitic card. So for those of you who don't know, boycott, divestment, and sanctions is a movement to put economic pressure on Israel to give Palestinians their human rights. And the whole idea behind the movement is a lot of the people in the movement say, hey, we think violence is immoral. We think violence is immoral. So we don't want to engage in violence, even though they think they have the right to because it's self-defense. Somebody comes into your house with a gun and says, get out. You're well within your rights to say, how about you get out? And I got a gun too. So, but they say, no, we think it's more productive to go about it this way, which is international economic pressure. Now, why are they doing it? Because it worked in apartheid South Africa. That's why. Now, by the way, there's also, they don't make any distinctions here. There's the idea of a BDS of all of Israel, but then there's also the idea of a BDS of just illegal settlements and occupied territory. For the life of me, I cannot understand. I find it incomprehensible that anybody would oppose, at the very least, the BDS of the occupied territory and the illegal settlements. How do you oppose that? You're in opposition to putting on economic pressure to try to stop what we all agree is illegal under international law. What we all agree is illegal under international law. Now, by the way, another point that they always make, which is nonsense, is they say, oh, it singles out Israel. Literally 100% of the people who I've spoken to who believe in BDS, if you ask them, are you in favor of a similar thing against Saudi Arabia? They go, absolutely. Absolutely. It's an oppressive theocracy. They behead people in the public square for sorcery and apostasy and drug smuggling. What, you think that the people who are pro-BDS somehow have a soft spot for Saudi Arabia? Utter not. It's totally made up. It's totally made up. But they want to try to make the claim, oh, you're just going harder on Israel than anybody else. Even though it's not true, they want to make that claim. And by the way, even if there is, in some instances, some people only focus on them, it's because we have our closest relationship with them. So I think there's a case, if you want to put more focus on the cases of Israel and Saudi Arabia, those two specifically, they're our closest allies. We have the most influence over what they do, so that's why it makes the most sense. We can more directly impact what we do here at home, domestically, and also what's going on with our allies, because they're our allies. We have more sway with them. Whereas, when you talk about official enemy states, we're in less of a position to influence them because they're official enemy states. There's no open line of communication. So, that's why you can more directly and quickly change stuff either at home domestically or among our allies. It's a lot harder to change stuff with countries you have no line of communication with or with countries that are official enemy countries. So this is why there's a strong focus on Israel, because we're freaking married at the hip to them, and we basically let them get away with whatever the hell they want to get away with, except that at the end of Obama's term, that one symbolic gesture was a little slap on the wrist, like, and by the way, the illegal settlements are kind of a bad thing, but we're not going to actually do anything about it. We're just going to say officially that the illegal settlements are illegal. And there was a firestorm where, oh my God, how dare you say things that are factually correct? So, this is Joe Biden. And this is what people fear about him. Just a total continuation of the status quo in so many ways. When it comes to healthcare, the idea of I'm just going to expand Obamacare. But the foundation of it sucks. The foundation of it is for-profit health insurance companies making money off sick people, an unnecessary mafia middleman. I want to get rid of that mafia. Joe Biden's like, no, let's keep the mafia and just make some tweaks around the edges. Status quo on healthcare, status quo on foreign policy, calling supporters of BDS anti-Semitic, which is nothing but a gross smear. By the way, you want to have a conversation about the bastardization of identity politics? Let's have that conversation right here, because this is the bastardization of identity politics. To call BDS anti-Semitic means you're saying people who want to stop illegal actions under international law from being committed, oh no, they're only doing it because they secretly hate Jews. That's the bastardization of identity politics. That's what that is. So, I have no tolerance for this stuff. At a time when Palestinians are getting absolutely crushed and obliterated, and there's been decades of oppression, and what does Joe Biden do? He comes in and says, status quo is awesome, and if you disagree and you want to change stuff to give Palestinians their human rights, maybe you just hate Jews. God damn it, man. Said it before, I'll say it again. In 2016, a lot of people thought, hey, whatever, man, I'll suck it up and do a lesser evil vote. Simply for the fact that I think this is like the last one I'll have to do. By the next election, we'll have a much better option. Boy, was that wrong. Couldn't have been more wrong.